Welcome to the MLB Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast again. And we are looking at another slate here on, what's today, Wednesday? Wednesday baseball, August the 23rd. We actually had a pretty good night there on Tuesday night, up 0.886 units on the night. Nate was all over Blake Snell, over 17.5 outs, over 6.5 Ks. He did get the Milwaukee money line. Just there were a few too many runs in that game, but only a little quarter of a unit that we put on that little parlay there. Baltimore could not pull out the comeback. They did tie it up 3-3, still lost to the Blue Jays. They've got another good one going today with Flaherty and Gausman on the mound. And then Rodon, as predicted, went well under his 6 Ks that we needed him to. It came out at even money. We recorded on Monday night for Tuesday's slate, and I didn't have a prop yet up for him, but it was at 5.5. We got even money on it. I put a full unit and won some decent money there. And then Washington did win that game, but they didn't win. They didn't score 4 runs to do so. So they did not give us the half a unit on that bet. So still up 53 and 51 on the season, but up 2.71 units. In baseball, it's all about when you're finding the value for those plus money bets. And we've been fortunate enough to hit enough of them to be up almost 3 units. So I do want to remind you to continue to follow along, like and subscribe to that page. Also head to thelines.com. Check out the odds finder tool we have up there so you can see all the bets available to you from these books giving us bets this baseball season. Nate, let's go ahead and run into your first pick here for the Astros and Red Sox game.
Yeah, Chris Sale on the mound, which means a wide range of potential outcomes. And so I want to kind of get in, like 3 out of that 4 outcomes here with a first 5 bet. Total runs parlay. Astros plus 1.5, so they can even just be within a run. And for the total to be over 4.5 after 5 innings, that is plus 165 at FanDuel. Good odds there, good return if you put a slightly less than a unit. Let's just say a unit. Sale has been better than, I guess, most of his last 2 injury-plagued years. We only have a 2-start sample here since he came back from the latest injury, and it's against Washington and Detroit. He really did struggle to locate the fastball against Washington. They contacted him up 92% in the zone. And, that's extremely troubling when you go up against the Astros, who are probably, top 3 offense against lefties every single year. And for Sale in particular, I think they're a tough matchup. And sure enough, the BVP data shows that. Their top guys against lefties, Altuve and Bregman, and Alvarez, who's just 4 for 4 with a homer in a very small sample. But those 3 guys hitting .352, 6 homers, 7 walks, to just 13 Ks in 54 at-bats against him. Best offense against lefties by far this month. So 3rd on the year, but hitting .326 with a .992 OPS against lefties this month, and that's in a healthy sample size. So I do think that there's an outcome where Sale gets hit hard and hit hard early, and he's not lasting very long. I don't know if he even gets through the whole 5 innings the way the Red Sox have had to handle him. So you might be interested in plus 120 for him to give up 3 earned or more, which he didn't against those weaker offenses, but the Astros could definitely tag him, and they've tagged the shit out of these Red Sox relievers in this series so far. So if we do get that early. And then on the other side, we have Jose Urquidy, who, has much better home road splits. Gives me a little faith if you want to take an Astros money line here. It's a toss-up. He limits hard contact, but he just doesn't have good stuff at all. I know you're going to talk about that, and then not getting strikeouts. The Red Sox offense is quite potent. Now they got some guys back in there. So I think we could get runs from either side of this start here, and I do think the Astros are going to be able to get to Sale enough to probably get 2 or 3 on the board if it's over, or if not just be leading, because Sale, it can be wild. He gives up hard contact. He has a 5.101 xFIP. So, he could be expected to walk too many guys or just leave fastballs over the heart of the plate, which he's kind of done in these 2 starts.
Yeah, I don't think it's a great matchup for either pitcher either, to be honest. I do like that you attacked overs for the Stros. And I think you could also attack overs in general. Boston, I think, will have a decent amount of success against Urquidy in this one, as I'll talk about, like you said here in a minute. I'm staying away from the final the money line here. I'm not. I don't hate it. I sometimes just I'll probably unnecessarily get frightened by the fact that the Stros have won the first 2 games. At the same time, the Sox are pretty much out at this point. I mean, there's a month left, but I wouldn't really be putting any money on them to make the postseason. Whereas Houston finds themselves in the middle of this AL West that now includes the Seattle Mariners. By the way, if you want to blindly hit their money lines, go ahead. The value on the Mariners is a little bit lower today than it's been for sure. Now that everyone knows how good they are and they're playing the White Sox, but just wanted to throw that one out there that they're probably going to be able to take care of Michael Kopech. I will mention Jose Urquidy and the way that I'm taking his under Ks in this one. And I'm actually going to parlay this with my other bet, but I'll just start with this one because I am putting 1.5 units on Urquidy to go under 5.5 Ks. That's minus 150 on BetMGM. That was the best place I could find it. If you have like FanDuel and not BetMGM, you can still get it at minus 156. But Urquidy, in his last in the 9 games that we've seen him, is 2-3 with a 5.21 ERA and a 1.42 WHIP. His metrics are also bad, as he's in the bottom half of the league in expected numbers for ERA, WOBA, batting average. The barrel percentage expected for him is definitely below 50% compared to the rest of the league. And then he's in the bottom third of the league in K percentage. So pretty happy to say that, like I said, more than 2/3 of the league has a better K percentage because he's not able to go as long in games. Yeah, he can't go 5 innings basically or more to get the Ks that you would want to get for him to get 6 basically. He's gone less than 5 in 5 of the 9 starts that he's made. And he's only gotten more than 5 Ks, I believe, 4 times as well. It's like he's only gotten the 5 Ks that he would need twice actually in those 9 games, because of the fact that he's not missing bats and his you talk about the zone contact percentages and things like that. If he throws the ball over the plate, it's getting hit. His stuff isn't necessarily down, like his all his velocities are around the same, just seems to be control, location, and guys are laying off. That's why he's got a pretty awful walk rate as well, in the bottom 20th percent in terms of walk rates. And now you're talking about a Boston team coming in that is, I mean, you mentioned it. Justin Turner was one of the guys they were missing. He's back in their lineup and has been decent since he's come back. But it's just really been a lot of Casas and Devers has gone crazy. But they're top 10 in runs scored, hits per game, batting average, slugging, and OPS. And versus right-handers, they strike out at the 6th lowest rate in terms of their K percentage from facing righties. And they have 6 batters in this lineup that are all under a 19% K rate, which is all top half of the league basically. Guys like Yoshida and Turner, even Turner has had a really good year not striking out. So I think you can feel pretty good about going under 5.5. I've been trying to get cute and be like, oh well, if you go under 4.5, it's like plus 105, and I'll put a 1/4 unit on that. And I'm like, no, I'm going to take all of the money I was allocating towards trying to get a ladder up a little bit on these props and just put 1.5 units on him to get the under 5.5 at minus 150 because I feel so good about that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think we're kind of in lockstep about that opening, how that one might open. I'm going to go on to Atlanta and the Mets and actually go under at 9.5 runs. It seems a little high. I mean, the Braves offense is extremely dangerous, but lately, I mean, they've gone under in 5 of their last 7. They're scoring under 4 per game. They're hitting 240, and maybe some complacency. I mean, they have obviously a huge lead at this point, but it's just the way that the game goes. And we have 2 wily veterans on the mound here on both sides. We have Jose Quintana, who Josh tried to fade against the Cardinals, and that game went under. And we have Charlie Morton, who's hitting his stride as we go towards the postseason. He is playoff Charlie, if you will. And both these guys just avoid hard contact. They avoid homers. I mean, Jose has a 2% home run fly ball ratio in his 6th start. He has a 3.7% barrel rate. And 70% of contact is coming outside the zone. The Braves in this span here are 2nd in terms of outside zone contact. So I'm not listening to the haters with his expected ERA or FIP. I think Quintana can dance around damage, even against this extremely dangerous lineup. Morton has given up no earned in 3 of his last 5 at home. He's given up no homers in 6 of his last 7. There's this one exception where he gave up 3 solo homers to the Angels, which is kind of their bag and why they don't produce other than those random solo homers. But he has given up 5 barrels total in his 9 other starts. 9 of his last 10 starts. We're talking about 5 total barrels in 0 in several starts, and homer prone at the beginning of the season at home, but since the All-Star break, 37.2 innings pitched. Those 3 solo homers are the only ones he's given up, and I mean the Mets are not exactly smashing the ball at the yard. You'd say maybe they can string together some rallies. Well, he's only allowing guys to hit 173 with runners in scoring position, as you expect from a veteran, getting out of those jams. So I just trust both these guys to avoid any sort of implosion. And then for this to continue to be kind of a low scoring division game where the Mets are 22-14 to the under in division. They're also 61% under when they're playing on normal 0 rest and 58% to the under when they're dogs. So I see some good evidence here, and it's plus 100 at FanDuel to go ahead and put a half unit on this.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been trying to go over after that first series where the Mets put up 9. I think it was 13 total runs in that game. Then comfortably under in the next one, and the Mets kind of showed who they are against Elder, even though McGill pitched maybe a little better than you thought he might. For this one, I'm not going to continue to try to fade Quintana. I think he's put enough together to show me that he still has something. Maybe he's pitching for next year at this point. And then as far as the Braves are concerned, like I would say, yeah, for Charlie Morton, facing this team in the sort of capacity that is right now, you're really just sort of pitching around Pete Alonso, who's had at least 1 walk, and I think like 6 of his last 7 games. So I go that route, and then I think you'll be fine. And to your point, like Morton shouldn't have problems pitching around people and then being able to get runners out, even though he's got a guy on first. So yeah, I'm with that. I'm also with backing Atlanta in some way. I might have to take the run line to get any value on it. But, I mean, Quintana's probably a good enough matchup that you can still get some value for them on the money line. But I would finish things off here where I get to fade another pitcher. And this is the thing I'm parlaying with Urquidy's under 5.5 Ks. I'm taking Severino's under 5.5 Ks for the Yanks, minus 152 on FanDuel. Also a unit and a half on that. We ain't playing around anymore with these 0.3 unit things on like 5 different bets. Like what? It's just that's the curse of baseball. You don't need to fall into that trap, Josh. So Severino, why would we fade him? Because he's been awful. He's been absolutely terrible. To me, if the Yankees were trying to make the playoffs in the last month or two, they would have stopped throwing this dude out there, but they just keep putting him out there. The only quality start he's had in his last 9 it came against the Pirates. Still didn't get 6 Ks in that because he's gone 9 straight with 5 or fewer Ks so far this year. 14 of the 16 starts he's made, he's gone under 6 Ks in this one. So it's at minus 152 for a reason. But if you take this on FanDuel for both of these bets, I gave out BetMGM because it's slightly better for the Urquidy one, but it's only minus 156 on FanDuel. So you can still parlay the minus 156 with the minus 152 for Severino, and you come out to like plus 196 on FanDuel. So Severino, like I said, the 4 Ks per 9 is a result of, I'm sorry, that should be 4 walks per 9, is also the thing that sort of bloats his 2.66 home runs per 9 that he's giving up, which is good for bottom third, 3 percentile, like the third percentile of the league. He's basically going to go up against a Washington team that I talked about yesterday when I faded Rodon, the lefty, and how good they've been against lefties. And I actually didn't do enough due diligence to find out that they were also not striking out against righties. They basically just are bad. There's no power in their lineup anywhere. But they have the 13th best batting average since July against righties. They've got the 3rd lowest K percentage since July against righties. That's their top 2 against lefties. So it's like, yeah, this is just what they do. Guys like Keibert Ruiz embodies their team perfectly. not going to leave the yard, a lot of slap hits, but you're not getting the ball by him. And that's all I need to worry about in this game is a lack of Ks for Severino, who I think will get pulled because the walks will be there. The Nats are 14th in walk percentage as a team against righties since July. And so I think the batting average, moving guys around, you can pile up hits against Severino, whose whip is up above 2.5, or it's almost at 3 at this point, with an ERA at 7.88. So like if you just move a couple guys around, you don't even really need the long ball against him. His stuff has been so bad in the last 2 months and really all season that he's just a really, really easy fade. There's really no his velo isn't even down. It's just all those walks and a lack of when he does throw it in the zone, that ball is getting smashed with hard contact. So just a really easy fade. He's like on my list with Wainwright and a couple other guys where you're like, oh, well, lovely. Let's go ahead and take some bats for his opposition.
Yeah, and the breaking pitch is not working for him. I think he's been the self-proclaimed worst pitcher in baseball in the last month and a half. So not much confidence there from Severino. This bet hit with Rodon. It probably is going to keep hitting with those Nats bats because of the approach that they're bringing. Yeah, which is just, get the ball in play and see what happens. We ain't got to worry about much else. And once again, the vibes not good for the Yankees. So I would be surprised if Severino suddenly turns it around.
Yeah, he can't pitch long enough to get this. And to your point, I'd love being able to depend on the Nats like when a guy's going up to bat, and like most of these guys, if not all of them in this lineup for Washington, they go up to bat just going, I'm not striking out. I'm just going to put the ball in play. And I think that's, really dependable to be able to bet on when a guy's having control issues like Severino is this year. So we'll look to continue this win streak, Nate. That's all the time we have for you today. Continue to follow along, like, and subscribe to that page, and we'll be coming back to you each and every weekday this season. And until we do see you next, happy betting.